It looks like Kavanazi got there first. He's had his machine going for some time. The surface apparatus appears to be what might be called fluff or a dummy. It does do something, but the main machine is underground, and he covers it with concrete and buries it in earth to prevent the radiation from coming out. It's not the earth, it's the earth. Obviously I don't know what's inside the box, but I hear that he uses a low pressure tube, an evacuated tube of probably air or hydrogen inside a coil of wire. And he must regulate it in some way to get the there's lots of ways of regulating things like that. AC regulators, I don't know much about them, to produce the stable output of houses lights. With my device I have two coils, and basically they oppose one another, and the inner coil has more turns on it than the outer coil, and so therefore the outer coil output to start off with is 8 volts, and the inner coil has an input of 160 volts, so it's a step down transformer. And when the inner the plasma starts reacting, because the inner coil is regulated, it must be picking up this signal. My theory was that it went past it and attached to the outer coil, and therefore reversed the phase and produced higher voltage because the length of the wire was greater. So that's how my thoughts went. And anyway, that's the theory. Now I have had results from these things, but the outer coil doesn't seem to be involved. The idea was to have a photon catcher and produce power from the outer coil. We'll test this theory. As soon as I get the parts, I've got to tune the outer coil with the capacitor to get rid of the RF and to make it stable at 50 Hertz. Relatively simple to do that. Use 2 motor run capacitors on 50 microfarads and the other 16 microfarads in series with another 1 microfarad capacitor and a 0.1 microfarad capacitor in parallel with a 16 microfarad capacitor to make it resonate at 50 Hertz, 15.8 microfarads, and that should produce a result. But that's only a hunter. I'm not a regular, not a circuit designer. It's the coils in parallel, if like in one place, in the second time, because the 2 coils are then powered by the inner plasma could turn, and effectively different from the inner coil and the outer coil. The outer coil should come out first. The idea is a regulator. But maybe a better way of doing it. As I say, I haven't had a result for this thing at all, and I'm just waiting to see if I can get a result. Because I can't get the pressure right up. I've ordered a power supply for the chain of 5 vacuum pumps I've got. I've ordered another 3 vacuum pumps and another power supply and an easy old power supply and those. And I should get a vacuum low enough. I don't know, I haven't tried it. But it should bring the vacuum down. Sometimes I get 40 torr, which is too high. It's got to go down to about 20 torr to get some sort of effect. And I think, if I remember rightly from the literature, which is what my mother left behind, my mother, who was supposed to be a tester engineer at one time, worked for Hitler's Germany, and she was an astronaut too, actually. She went to the moon and Mars with Hitler. And I found life on Mars, by the way, which is contentious. And that's why they attacked Hitler, because they were going to Christian. apart from all the nasty things he did. But the scars on my face would modify my face in some way, because I didn't actually look like this originally. I was quite good looking all the time. So like all my designs to start off with just one core. The two cores, well, we can tell you, if I open circuit the other one, it won't do anything, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm not quite sure what happens, because when the outer core is going 160 volts, and the phase is in one direction, and that stimulates the plasma to oscillate. But that would be the actual induction for the plasma would oppose, wouldn't it? Would oppose it, would it increase it? Would good like actually increase the voltage of the inner core. But it can't, because it's got a regulator on it, so that prevents it, so it should be picked up by the second core. And it should be, it actually should be in the same phase as in the first core. That means that the two will then oppose one another. But the actual interaction between the two cores is actually quite small, because it's, I have to think about it. The outer core should produce power depending on the length of the wire. But it, according to my calculation, should be quite a high voltage. But when I do the induction from the inner core, the outer core is only 8 volts. And I'm expecting several thousand volts from the outer core in the opposite phase. I'm not sure whether it will be the same phase as the opposite phase. I think it will be the same phase. It should be the same phase as the inner core. Yeah. Which means they oppose one another, because the outer core induced, it's all nasty and complicated. But I'm a very good circuit analyzer, really. I just think of these in my head rather than on paper with formulas. And it's not a core designed of one core inside the other. So I'm sure it'll help. But you see, my mother appears to be supported Germany before the war, and supported Hitler because he was for the working class. And so my mother was drop working class like I am, right at the bottom. Had no shoes and nothing to wear, starving. And she sat on the pavement and sold. She had fitted a moss garden on the pavement, and collected pennies from people who went past. So people in their lords and ladies who went past with a fine dress and good shoes. So she was very poor. And when she was, I don't know when she got recruited, but she must have joined the Germans. I was able to fly to France and Germany quite often before the war. And she may have known Tesla, I don't know. But Tesla had these things going for a long time before. And according to the literature, he couldn't have known where the power was coming from, because deuterium fusion was not known about until quite recently. And the source of power of the sun wasn't known. In Hitler's lecture just before the war to Chamberlain about this device, he talked about E equals everything squared, which he came from Einstein. So he never opposed Einstein. He was a Jew, but he wasn't opposed to Jews at that time. And the result was used to illustrate that the power was coming from matter being destroyed. That's the crux of the matter. And so he knew that. And he knew that. But the lecture which I heard about did not reveal to me the structure of the thing he had. But my mother told me recently it was just a large coil, a flat coil with something from water in it. Now, that probably means hydrogen, because I said, what is the oxygen? What must be hydrogen? I was actually quite ignorant, although she must have been quite a lot at the time. And of course she was 99 when she told me. But she must have been sworn to secrecy by Hitler. And she expected him to come back, you see, but he didn't. He was dead. She shot him very quickly. So a laughing situation. But the starship was supposed to come back and conquer the Earth. That's wrong, but what happened? It was too powerful now. The Nazis would have developed some weapons that we had, we don't know. And they had everyday contact with aliens, apparently. Now, I don't know what the aliens looked like, but the ones she drew, she had a Russian account of her with Hitler. History of the Second World War, I think it was, which probably got lost in the post, got lost before it was posted. I'm not quite sure what happened to it. I lost it. I didn't know where it was. And her biggest regret was shooting her husband Hitler. So I don't know who I am. My father. My birth certificate says it's Major Strowens, and hopefully it is, but it may be Hitler, or it may be Tesla. I don't know, because my mother never revealed it. She may have known me involved. Interesting. And well, because I'm British now, I live here, and I always have lived here, and I only knew about this really recently. Although when I was young, I was taught according to the Nazi propaganda, which my mother had. That was just after the war. Because I was actually old enough to understand that during the war. So how old I was, I don't know. And I have a recollection of being shot down in 1942. Now, so I must have been about 19 at the time, which means I was born in 1924. Interesting. My mother was born in 1912, so she'll be 12 at that time, so she's not my mother. It's a very strange situation. I probably don't look 80 or 90. I mean, that's mean I'm at 90, which means I don't look that old, probably. But beauty is skin deep. And I'm not beautiful anyway because of all the injuries I've had. Well, when we get older, we get injuries. I suppose my time. I remember going to the Isle of Wight when I was a young man, wearing a Nazi uniform, and I think I caught the Zeppelin, which stopped at was it Shanklin, I think it was, somewhere over there. And there was a pylon where the Matilda pylon where this Zeppelin stopped its way across the Atlantic, stuff like that. Well, to England, I don't know much about it, I remember, but I recollect it. And when I went to the Isle of Wight, I was wondering where the pylon was. There was also a camera obscura there, and I was interested in that. But that's not there now. That wasn't there until it disappeared before the Second World War, because the Germans did the Isle of Wight. No, very strange reference. And my electrical theory has been relearned. I must have had some knowledge before. Well, I don't think I was that well educated in science before. I took the interest in science afterwards. So I've had two lives. I lived twice because I must have grown into a child and grown up again. But I do recall being 19 and being an adult and being sent to the kindergarten or a child's school, and along with the children, because they all laughed at me. And what they did to me, so Britain is like, is obviously they became British. Well, it seems that's how Britain is. Now the two cars, that's behind me, where it is. Let's see the reactor down there. Now, the outer core is longer than the length of wire is like there's 20,000 turns on the inner core, which is much smaller diameter. The outer core is bigger. There's only 2,500 turns. Now, it's not the number of turns, it's the length of wire. So I've never actually worked out the length of wire of the inner core. The outer core is about a kilometre, so it's not huge. I could work it out on the machine here. I could work it out. I don't remember. I think it was about 4,000 metres. I see. So it's actually not within my. I don't think it was wrong there. You know what happens? Two cores in parallel because they interact with each other, and also because two tuned circuits, the actual two tuned circuits in parallel, which is what it is, would actually interact with each other in such a way like an IF transformer and have a fairly broad response to frequency. But the inner core is driven by the mains. This is a different design than what Hitler had. And I think these these Tesla engines, or called Tesla power, are available in Germany because they don't know what they are. But apparently, when I worked at the Upper University, they knew they had something. Of course, they don't know what it was, but they picked up these things. Because they had a spark gap regulator, that's what I remember. There was a spark gap regulator to stop it overrunning after you use Zener diodes on the intercooler. With the outercoil, I still have to do the same thing. There's no reason down the outercoil, and no reason down the intercoil. I should connect the two together. Seems like one coil. And have it divided by the, that's the idea, it's a possible circuit configuration. It's easy enough to do. The terminals are there. And the inner coil connected to the outer coil. They're in the same sense, so there'll be one coil. And that might make more sense. And then take the tap point on the outer coil. That might be a better arrangement. I have to think about it. But I've got to get this plasma loop to start. Now, I seem to remember from the literature that Tesla had found a pressure of 3 torr was where the maximum was, because he said that the power increased until it got down to a certain pressure, which was, as I say, about 3 torr, and as the pressure decreased, the power went away again. And I've done experiments with RF using 10 to the minus 4 torr, which it was nominal. And so, I got a reaction going, and I converted hydrogen to helium in the tube, and it's I lost the tube now. It's cleaned out by the cleaners. As I say, everything's taken by the cleaners. But that shows that it is a very, very rare, rarefied air. It's like the upper atmosphere. Well, the plasma is very much hotter than what's around it, without being in contact with it. It's a different sort of temperature. So it's called kinetic temperature rather than Boltzmann temperature. And the distribution doesn't correspond to the maximum Boltzmann distribution. And in the plasma, the electrons and nuclei are in equilibrium. That's the meaning of plasma. And thermonuclear plasma is where they're at the same temperature. Thermonuclear means the ions and the electrons. The electrons and the ions are at the same temperature. And plasma is where the whole thing is ionized. Now, with the system I have, I think it's only partially ionized. Which is why the conductivity is not very high. But as it gets to lower pressure, that becomes easier for the whole thing to be ionized, and then it becomes a superconductor, and then the reactions take place. Now, I think when I heard Kevin Niles give his lecture on his device, he looked for ignition. So he must have had an ignition device. Now, that's my high voltage device. I don't know what he did. He may have had a capacitor charge and put a voltage charge. I think that's the original way of doing it. That's what I used in 1962, I think it was, or thereabouts. 1967, when I owned the Vine Public, well, certainly home, I had one of these devices there, and it was quite big, and it was again just a cartoon circuit with the cord with a low pressure tube inside it. I think it was a Taurus actually, but it was only part of the Taurus was in use. I can't remember. I don't think it was a Taurus. I can't remember. The Tauruses don't work. I've got a Taurus here. These don't work. If you try and use these Tauruses like this, it breaks out through the side, and it goes by the shortest route. So Colorado Taurus doesn't work. So you go a straight tube and have a go to the. This is my deuterium tube. When I use deuterium, which is deuterium spectral tube, and I put the RF coil at this end and stimulated it with 3.7 megahertz at a few hundred watts, about 500 watts. There was a huge reaction went on, and I became unconscious and knocked out my mind, and apparently the person next door, which is just around the corner from us, just over there, you can't see, just through there is next door. She was able, it was a lady, a young lady, she's, I don't know, her name's, not her name, for my friends anyway, and not too friendly, because I'm not sure that she is, she's not interested. She could see me through the wall as a skeletal form. No, I can't vouch for that. So neutrons are funny things. I was not harmed by neutrons. There must be neutrons being produced, or X-rays, maybe it was X-rays. But why I should be visible, I don't know. So I didn't use the deuterium. So deuterium is very dangerous. And so that would have helium in the tube as well. But it's a spectral tube. With the colour is the colour of hydrogen, which is what colour it is, I can't remember. So just tell by the colour, which is not very good spectral analysis. You really need to do a spectrograph, which I did have, but I don't have one now. But it was only a hand one. They're not very good. So I've done lots of experiments, and the first experiments were all done with a single car. Now this one was 2 cars, it's new, and as I say, the idea was that the outer car would pick up from the centre, and the signal would not be picked up by the middle car, because the inner car, because of the regulator. I think I'll change the configuration and have the outer car in series with the inner car rather than parallel, so it becomes a single car in the same sense, the same way around, because that's the way around. And that would mean it would be a tap point, and that's becomes an auto transformer then. And therefore the regulator of the inner car would regulate the outer car as well. But the voltage would be quite small, and I should think, because 22,000 turns the inner car. And, mind you, it's, as I say, it's lengthwise. I had to look up the length of my inner car, but I feel it's quite long. But it's only 1 kilogram of wire. I can't remember if there's any thin wire there. So it'll be thin and thick wire. If the outer car has 3 amps, the inner car only takes 40 milliamps, so I can't do that. I can't have the 2 in series. Can't have the 2 in series like that now. No, it has to be separate. But I know the equivalent of I don't know, it's coils in parallel. There's two coupled coils, and they're not connected to each other. So they're not coils in parallel, they're not coils in series. It's one inductively coupled to the other. Somebody who knows more about actual engineering has worked it out, but I'm not very good. I never did understand it. All I remember is L's and M's and mutual, and when I did it as an undergraduate, it was all differential equations. And I don't really know those either, because of the, I did do quite well at my degree, but it's elementary, degree is elementary compared with electronics. And as I say, inductors, people will know this. I know if you have 2 inductors opposed to one another, the inductance goes down. So the inductance will change the inductance. Having 2 coils like that will alter the inductance so they affect one another. And I know when I measure the inductance of the outer coil with the inner coil, when it's connected, the inductance is different when it's got a tuned circuit on it. But you have to measure the inductance at 50 hertz, otherwise it means nothing. And I can't do that because my bridge doesn't work at 50 hertz. And the other way of doing it is to put a force of voltage through it, measure the current, and that will measure the inductance. You could do that, but I'll probably have the means to do that because I've got the mains frequency and got the mains and transformers and things and resistance meters and current meters, voltmeters. So I could do that, measure the current. Good idea to do that, to see what the inductance is when it's got the inner coil connected, and that will give me some idea of its characteristics. Electrical theory is too complicated for me. So anyway, Kamanasi, what's his name is? He's advertising his stuff. I don't think I think you can buy Twitters, but the person who has one told me it's electricity from the Earth. It doesn't do that. There is heat in the Earth. There is an electrical field between the Earth and the air, and 200 volts per meter. But it's not possible to use it because you have to use a static field. My head is a different potential for my toes. But it's not possible to use it. So that's not where the power comes from. And so that's that result. And of course, I had we had mine going in 1967, 1962. I started doing something really cool here, but 1967 I had something. 1969 I went to the African Branch and we did the same thing there. But I don't know, but I believe it's used by the British military. I believe so. I don't know because I have no special knowledge of such things. Although I did design these engines with the help of other people. Because I was junior, I was not permitted to know very much about it. And I know they're made by the Tesla company, so there's no secrets anymore. Because it's more than 30 years ago that I was in the civil service, and I didn't sign the Official Secrets Act, so I'm not bound by it. And I was asked to keep it secret for 30 years, so I did. For 30 years I have not spoken. And 1969 is more than 30 years ago. That was in 1999. I'm still alive. 2015 and I can talk. 2014 it is. And so British have these things a long time. I don't know. I think they're called power warships, and of course they get the fuel from the sea, because they get the hydrogen from the sea. Just electrise water. That's not difficult. I believe somebody has discovered that you can electrise water using high voltage pulses, in unidirectional pulses. So you have a rectifier and a mains transformer, and the hydrogen will be going off at the, I think it goes off at the positive electrode, isn't it? I can't remember. The hydrogen gives forms a positive ion, so it'll be given off at the negative electrode, and the oxygen would go to the air. And the hydrogen reflects. I was thinking of making a little cell to generate hydrogen on here, but you've got to be careful because there's air in it as well. At the moment, you've got to flush it through with hydrogen first to make sure there's no air in it. Otherwise, you have a chemical explosion. The volume is quite small, but it might blow the coil apart, blow the end off the coil. There's no relief now. And so it's a long job. As I say, these two cars operating opposing one another do worry me, and but it's an interest. I'll have to do some measurements. And I know when the intercoil is driven by 160 volts, the output voltage is 8 volts. You can measure 7 to 8 volts. You can measure, but it does vary. It depends if there's a plasma going or not. So that takes part in the reaction. So there must be a plasma current flow, but only a small one. And if you don't have the plasma flow, the voltage is smaller, only 3 volts. So I don't understand it, but obviously there is somebody a bit younger than me to work with that. I'm 71 now. It's not be 90 if I was when I was 24. So what a joke. But wartime does nasty things to people, you know. And the man across the road is apart from supervising me, which is I accept, because I'm a prisoner of war basically. If I get this so much I'm not, I don't know who I am. They think maybe I am. Maybe I'm just a son, maybe I'm Major Sherman's son, but I don't know. But I served Britain in the Second War, in the Indochina War, so I should be looked after, not upset. What the call is. I lived in Russia, good place, liked it. And a lot of the things we designed in Russia as children, as students at Novosibirsk and the Taj University where I went, and they took me. They know this injury to my face is done by the British, so they take care about it. And the things we designed we used in America. When I went to America in 1962, as I was in Russia in 1954, something like that, or 55, I don't remember. And we used the designs in the design of the American spacecraft. But we did design a flying saucer as well, because we knew, because I had knowledge about these things. And the NASA rejected it. But it was put forward. But I remember when I arrived in America as an immigrant, I just answered a very small advertisement in the New York Times, I think it was, something like that. And it was for a mathematician. And I had a PhD at that time in theoretical physics, I think it was, and typical physics, especially relativity theory and orbits and things. So they were interested. Now I'm not very good at orbits. Actually, I don't know anything about the orbit of Pluto, which Einstein did. I don't know where Pluto is. But I remember I used, it was a computer algorithm which was not new. It was Euler's theorem. Euler's algorithm for working out things, and it's to do with the computational explosion. You can have a more complicated formula for working out things, and that's for hand calculations. If you do it by computer, the actual computation is at least the same, if not more, than Euler's theorem. And it's the speed of that question is important. I don't know what they use now. Because you remember the computer that flew the LEM was an analog computer. I was interested in computers. And something else I did. The LEM was really just for rest on the flying bedstead. And that's a British thing, which was unflyable. There's a rockets which got something up. Poor, I think. I don't know how it was a single rocket with trimmers. And can't be controlled because it turns over. So we had to reject, no, it was killed, but we had to reject very roughly. But this controller was the feedback control system which kept it upright, which is elementary now these days. But it was controlled by a joystick. So the thing was programmed. It can be flown. They didn't believe me. Nobody would fly the thing. Not even Neil Armstrong was known to it at the time. I think he was recruited when he was 10 years old. He's dead now, and I remember I flew this thing from the base over in the New Mexico desert over a small mountain, and landed on the edge, had my sandwiches and coffee, and flew back. And I was noted in the area as a UFO. I don't know where that was. I can't remember where the place was now. And that's it. And I had a tumour on my brain. It was just here. I had a small lump in my head, right side of my brain, right frontal lobe. And the heat in Houston made me have fits. And I got a speck on my head. Eventually, I was sent home because I had a brain tumour. And the British, I had to go to a special hospital for it, and they took it out when I was, and it was bizarre for a long time. But I recovered and went to speak again. And the things I knew were still there, but the language was gone, but it came back. And I remember now. My accent is different, and my vocabulary is different. But I learned mathematics again as well. I'm not very good at it now. I was better at it then than I am now, which is not surprising because I'm older. But that's all about me. Now, I don't know whether this machine I have behind me will work or not. I'm quite honest, I'm afraid of it, because it's a nuclear reactor and it gives out radiation. Now, I put up shielding which is produces and stops neutrons. It's straw and wool stops neutrons, and polystyrene that stops neutrons, not lead. Lead scatters them and makes hard secondary radiation from gamma rays and all sorts of stuff. And the dust, of course, if you lead concrete, it will stop it, but graphite is better. Graphite is the moderator. It's better. Graphite concrete. You know the word lead in French, plumbion, means graphite in English. So we use graphite in concrete. And the polystyrene is better. Now, I think it needs quite a good thickness of polystyrene, but thick polystyrene is expensive. And I've got these insulating panels each side of the reactor, which has stopped the members getting into or something we getting in. And I'm worried because if it does start up, it may not be possible to stop it. There is an off switch which shorts out the coil, which should stop it, because the conductor, it does work, it does short it out. And because it depends on the coil current maintaining the reaction. But with the outer coil as well, that might do the same thing. So I have to switch on that one as well. So of course it wouldn't start, so I could switch out the whole inner coil and just have the outer coil working. That'd be strange. But the switch shorts the coil, so it doesn't switch out the coil. And so that means the current could rise. It shorts it. Now that is probably not the right circuit. Probably not. It does stop the stimulating current, and the voltage drops, but the current could still be flowing. I thought of that. My design, circuits design, leaves much to be desired. So that is the yes. But that's my attempt now. I don't know about coming arsenic. He keeps it secret, so I can't converse with him. I think he has patented his design and published it. But I did that with mine some years ago. But not a working one. Well, all my designs work except the torus. And I just don't really mind, because being an old man, having a pension, having that sort of money is probably not the right thing to do. But it would be nice to be doing hotels and going on trains and planes and things. I would like my wife back. My wife left me last Christmas, just before last Christmas, not the last Christmas, the Christmas before last. And I do miss her, and if she's listening, I would like to turn up, but I have been supporting her ever since then. Eventually, I had enough. After over a year separation, I couldn't face supporting her anymore. Now, if I get money, because I've been spending on this machine quite honestly, I could spend the money, but it's difficult because the psychiatrist won't let me. They say she's much too young for me. She's 39 on the 17th. Happy birthday. And I'm 71. But of course, if I'm 90, that's even worse. But I don't think love has any relationship to our age. And if she has my children, I would like to see her again. And my children. If she had any. And I'm told that some of my children have enlarged heads, large brains. Now my brain has been shrunk. We've done something to reduce the size of the brain. They call that therapy. They say, I had a hypertrophic brain, but I haven't now. It's been shrunk. Poisons they give me drinking. And that's not very nice. I suppose a misunderstanding. Man the wise is now with a large head. Now I'm not like that. I can see that that's not true now. But it was. And it's probably shrinking. Poisons they give me shrink my brain. I call them antipsychotics. They don't care. They don't want to listen to me. They don't have to. I don't know why they want to poison me. It's because it's the religious reason, and especially in this country. It's the idea that the working class should be stupid and do working class jobs. That's the idea. So they don't like intelligent working class because they're not satisfied with working class jobs. They won't even let you retire and do what you want to do. They poison you. You show any kind of intelligence. But I think Britain should be wiped out. That culture, not the British themselves, the culture of poisoning the working class or brain damage the working class should be wiped out, because with the machines these days, people need to be clever, whatever class they are, and wise. And well, that's it. That's the cause of contention. That's why they attack me. They're very nasty about it. They've got knives. Mostly they attack with knives. Wires. Still wires. I threw my set of wires away. But basically they're people in power in this country who are not the elected government, vicious and evil and criminals and powerful men, and they extort money from people to stay in power. And because it's extortion, they have to pay. It's protection money. And you get gangs protecting each other, they can protect you with other gangs. And that's how bad Britain is. It's a bad country. So people come here from Eastern Europe, they think they come here and make a fortune, they don't make anything, they have everything stolen from them, they get raped, they're women. And in the hospital I was recently, I met several, one or two Eastern European women who said that they'd been raped, everything had been taken from them. And that's why, because they came from communist countries. And according to the people who are doing it, who are not the people who work in the hospital, they are anathema to God, and that means a opposition to King William, otherwise it means very God. And King William the first, so he's not this bloke who's coming up now, who's also got the ambition of ruling the world. Now, I won't be here when he rules the world. Mr. Luck, and there's what sort of world he rules. So they've got all this sophisticated machinery, and whether it'll be a good rule or not, I don't know. We won't know until it happens. Just another episode of the history of the world. It wipes itself out. The storm raging behind me is well, I don't know. They talk about it's global warming now. They say this global warming is caused by carbon dioxide, which is probably valid, but we've had. But also the sun is getting warmer because, according to NASA, the Mars and Jupiter are getting warmer as well. And they're all hit by the sun, so the sun's getting warmer now. I've no means of knowing the sun's temperature. It normally sits around 5,000 degrees. Well, a big change in the sun will make a very small change on Earth. So I don't know what happens. It's to do with helium burning. When the sun's core runs out of hydrogen, runs out of hydrogen, it burns helium. And it gets hotter because helium burns at a high temperature. That's your superconductors and helium. And eventually the sun blows up a ring of a shell of gas, which would, if it hits us, will destroy all life on Earth, take away the atmosphere and kill everybody. They could just burn themselves in holes in the ground and might survive. And the atmosphere may come back, but it will be pretty poisonous. But that's how things are. We don't know when that'll happen. It's a random event. It's a sound wave. The sound oscillates, and it's quite slow. It's been oscillating for quite a long time, about 6,000 years. And there's a word in the book by Hubbard, which translated means your sun is a technetium flares canal. Now, technetium is formed when helium burning starts. And it started just over 6,000 years ago. And people from this other planet came here to save the human race. Well, someone got away when Hitler came about. Someone got away. But basically, the people in power here don't want that to happen. Don't believe it. And the result will be destruction. So the British won the war but they lost the human race, because that's what will happen. When eventually the sun blows up, and you can see from the neutron emission from the sun, which is the activity of the core, it was rising. It falls again, it fell again, but it'll rise again. It's oscillating. And it's a sound wave that goes across the sun. Sun rings. And eventually it blows up a gas. In 1989, we have a bubble of gas come out of the sun, and it missed us. If it hadn't missed, if it had hit us, we'd have been wiped out. So how close you are to death. And these bodies coming to Earth now and again don't do any damage unless they hit us, and if they do, that can be destruction as well. Now, as Christians, no religious people, especially Christians, don't believe that God would do that to us. Why not? We're only an animal, and we're only animals, so God will help. And I'm doing my bit. I'm trying to. Now, if the Covenanti device is a source of power enough to power a starship, that's probably a way of getting away from the Earth. And the British don't want that to happen, because they might find the remains of Hitler's armies on the moon, on Mars, and they've gone to Proxima Centauri now. They're not interested in us anymore. They've got their own species. They're radiating away from the Earth, and we don't count anymore. So that's how silly the British are. All they want to do is kill you now, because he's working class, really. And what do you know about government? Well, he did bad things, and I'm told by my mother that he was knocked out just before the war, 1939, during the conference, the peace conference. He was attacked and injured. He wasn't killed. His brain was damaged, and he got one of the wire wounds they attacked him with. I was trying to defend him with shooting them, but he shot the father, or Hitler, where he was. And he then moved to Salzburg, where he retired, and it took no further part of the war. That's what I was told in Düsseldorf, I think there. And so what happened during the war, nothing to do with Hitler. It was the British who did it. They wanted to smash the place up. They wanted to smash socialism. Not because there's anything wrong with socialism, it's because their income is threatened. The royal family are terrified that socialists taking over and being murdered. And they won't accept any compromise. They won't accept that coexistence. They won't accept that they will not be murdered. They won't accept it. If the workers take over, they fear they'll be killed, because they have this delusional belief they were made by God to rule the world. The God was made for them to rule. All the others were made for them. So that's their religion. That's what their brain wasn't believe when they were young. And we don't have to kill them. If the workers do take power, there's no reason to kill the royal family. In Russia, most of the royal family survived. The ones that got out came to Britain and lived in town Common. Not on the Common itself, but a place called Common Road. And appeared to be my relatives. And they're relatives, but they don't kill them. There's no reason why the royal family should become as officials or even military figures, anything. But why should we have wars? There's always people, the royal family apparently are superior. That's what royal means, being superior. They are. But they also have a nice time of eating people. Apparently they're cannibals. Being my relatives, they're cannibals. And that's not very nice. Cannibalism is a noble religion that goes back to the Stone Age, basically, where after you've defeated your enemy, you eat him. Well, that's superior, isn't it? Not only can we have slaves, but we can have eat them as well. So that's the royal family. Now, socialism was a way of getting on with each other more equitably. It was appeared to be invented by Jesus Christ and the Jews. Jesus was Jew. But they take lip service to that idea. And they say, I've got to pay dues to the church. Well, I will, because they exist. I don't have any money, because I'm a Saxon. The Saxons don't have any money. They do let me have this house. It just belonged to me, but I can't sell it and make the money, because if I did, I'd lose the money and the house. And they made that quite clear. And they say they'll put me in a flat with one room. I won't have his face. I'll be supervised even more strictly. I prefer to live here. This was my mother's house, and I bought it with her. But they do restrict some remorse. But they come around killing people. They've got swords and they kill people. And they wear chainmail. The chainmail they wear these days is very fine. It's like silk. It looks like silk. It's very heavy. And you wear it as an undergarment. And it's fine enough to stop a sword thrust or a steel needle. And it protects them. They're going to protect the head. So you protect the head with a scar, threaten the scar, and they have a plate inside the mouth to protect the roof of the mouth. So they're very difficult to kill. And I don't know where all the places are here, of course, but they might have to what you do about that. They have a dog scar to protect them. Nasty lot, the priesthood are a nasty lot, and of course they're Northern Knights, and the Northern Knights are nasty, very vicious people. And they intend to stay in power. No, I can't stop that. So they should allow workers to be free and have same work as the aristocrats. They should do. And they always give the aristocrat good education because I'm an aristocrat. But got thrown down the back stairs, so I said it was wrong to hurt workers. There's actually no difference. The working class are supposed to be brawling and nasty with their life because they get brain damage. That makes me angry. And we could have a great civilization, but they don't want it. Oh well. Charles me on, as I say. Vive la revolution.